Hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the ScientoloGeek, and I want to welcome you all to part 20 of going over the data series. Now, we are on to policy letter number 17 called Narrowing the Target. It's only about 2 2/3, maybe 2 3/4 pages, so this is probably going to be a short episode. We're just going to go through it quick, and since the next one is quite a few pages long, we will stop there and then pick up where we left off. If you want access to any of these data series, flag orders, base orders, OT levels, volumes, any of the stuff that I have in the Google Drive folder, feel free to shoot me an email at scientologeek@gmail.com with a valid Gmail address, or go to the Discord server link in the description and DM me, again, valid Gmail address. Without any further ado, let's get started. So this is the policy letter of the 19th of September, 1970, issue number 2, called Narrowing the Target.
When you look at a broad field or area, it is quite overwhelming to have to find a small sector that might be out. The lazy and popular way is to generalize. They're all confused. The organization is rickety. They're doing great. That's all very well, but it doesn't get you much of anywhere. The way to observe so as to find out what to observe is by discarding areas.
Okay, so we're going to learn about how to discard areas when you're doing I guess you'd call it a situation analysis? Or is this a data analysis? When you're trying to figure out what section of an area is out.
This, in fact, was the system I used to make the discoveries which became Dianetics and Scientology.
Okay. Oh, we can get into the lies and bullshit of Hubbard's war record, how he never was in combat, how he said that Dianetics was created as he was recovering in like the naval hospital or something. Said he cured himself of all of his ailments with Dianetics.
It was obvious to me that it would take a few million years to examine all of life to find out what made it what it was.
Yes, no shit. It's not going to be 5 minutes of quick guessing.
The first step was the tough one. I looked for a common denominator that was true for all life forms. I found they were attempting to survive. With this datum, I outlined all areas of wisdom or knowledge and discarded those which had not much assisted man to survive.
Knowing you, all the shit you discarded was the wisdom and knowledge. Oh my god, we've seen him throw out so much and replace it with his methods that to hear him say, I discarded those which had not assisted man. I'm curious, how many actual good subjects has he thrown out this time?
This threw away all but scientific methodology, so I used that for investigatory procedure. Then, working with that, found mental image.
So you completely threw out scientific methodology because you didn't do it right when it came to Dianetics.
And working with them, found the human spirit as different from them.
We have to prove the spirit.
By following up the workable, one arrived at the processing actions which, if applied, work, resulting in the increase of ability and freedom. By following up the causes of destruction, one arrived at the points which had to be eradicated. This is, of course, shorthanding the whole cycle enormously, but that is the general outline. Survival's been isolated as a common denominator to successful actions, and succumb has been found as the common denominator of unsuccessful actions, so one does not have to reestablish these. From there, to discover anything bad or good, all one has to do is discard sterile areas to get a target necessary for investigation. One looks broadly at the whole scene, then discards section of it that would seem unrewarding. He will then find himself left with the area that contains the key to it. This is almost easier done than described. Example. One has the statistics of a 9-division org. 8 are normal, 1 isn't, so he investigates the area of that 1. In investigating the 1, he discards all the normal bits. He's left with the abnormal one that is the key.
Well, when you have numbers that you can look at, it's pretty easy to know where you're fucking up.
This is true of something bad or something good. A wise boy who wanted to get on in life would discard all the men who weren't getting on and study the one who was. He would come up with something he could use as a key. A farmer who wanted to handle a crop menace would disregard all the plants doing all right and study the one that wasn't. Then, looking carefully, he would disregard all the should-bes in that plant and wind up with the shouldn't-be. He'd have the key. Sometimes in the final look, one finds the key, not right there, but way over somewhere else. The boy studying the successful man finds he owed his success to having worked in a certain bank 7 states away from there. The farmer may well find his hired man let the pigs out into the crop, but both got the reason why by the same process of discarding wider zones. Plus points or out points alike take one along a sequence of discoveries. Once in a purple moon, they mix or cross. Example, gross income is up. One discards all the normal stats. Aside from gross income being up, only one other stat is down, new names. Investigation shows that the public executives were off post all week on a tour, and that was what raked in the money. Conclusion, send out tours as well as man the public divisions. Example, upset is coming from the camp kitchen. Obvious outpoints. Investigation discloses a 15-year-old cook holding the job solo for 39 field hands. Boy, is he plus point. Get him some help. Drawn attention. Having attention dragged into an area is about the way most people quote-unquote investigate. This puts them at effect throughout. When a man is not predicting, he's often subjected to outpoints that leap up at him. Conversely, when outpoints leap up at one unexpectedly, he knows he better do more than gape at them. He's already behindhand in investigating. Other signs earlier existed which were disregarded. Errors. The usual error in viewing situations is not to view them widely enough to begin with. One gets a dispatch which says central files don't exist. By now, keeping one's attention narrowly on that, one can miss the whole scene. To just order central files put back in may fail miserably. One has been given a single observation. It's merely an outpoint. Central files omitted. There is no why. You follow up no CF, and you may find the registrars in the public division, and letter registrars never go near a file, and the category of everyone in CF is just quote-unquote been tested. You really investigate, and you find there's no HCO exec-sec or DSEMSec, and there hasn't been one for a year.
So HCO is Hubbard Communications Office, exec-sec is Executive Secretary, or Dissemination Secretary.
The cycle of outpoint, correct, outpoint, correct, outpoint, correct will drown one rapidly and improve nothing. But it sure makes a lot of useless work and worry. Wisdom. Wisdom is not a fixed idea. It is knowing how to use your wits.
I currently have up the definition for wisdom. The quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The quality of being wise. It's knowing how to use your wits. I mean, you can simplify it down to that, but your wits doesn't necessarily always have to stem from experience. So looking into this policy letter and just kind of thinking over the examples that he provided, because that's kind of all he provided, it wasn't necessarily helping you in actually narrowing down the right section. And considering most places do this anyway, I don't know why this needs to be a policy letter, why it isn't just something automatic that people do, be like, all right, we have a problem with such and such, well, let's look at such and such. He acts like these are novel concepts. He acts like these are brand new things that he invented, ways of doing things that he established, but he just took something everybody does and just blew it up. That's all he did. At least in this, it looks like it. I don't see why this is such a big deal. I don't see why this needed to be 2.5 pages. And who said that getting suggestions as to things that are wrong, getting dispatches and stuff like that, who's to say that's not a wrong way to do things? That's why companies have things such as complaint boxes, well, suggestion boxes, HR. Companies have places where you can lodge outpoints in order to get them investigated and corrected. This whole policy letter seems completely redundant. But that's all I gotta say. Other than, if you like the video, like it. If you don't like it, dislike it. I don't really care. Comment with your feedback or questions, good, bad, or sideways. And subscribe to be kept up to date on future content. I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.